Hello class, welcome to Algebra Concepts, lesson 8.5, which is all about solving radical equations. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, you should be able to solve radical equations. So this is our day 3 of lesson 8.5. So again, I just included a list of our perfect squares here, just to help you out as we do our first example, and then you won't need it in the second example, but knowing these numbers is going to be helpful. Okay, so now we're going to practice solving equations. And so we've talked about in the past that a square is the opposite operation of a square root. Okay? And so as we're starting to solve this, you would know that, hey, in order to get this on its own, I would say x equals the square root of 16. And you might even say, cool, x equals 4. Easy, because 16 is a perfect square. There's one thing that we are missing when we do this. So I want you to think about how if I were to take 4 and square it, I would get 16. But there's another number squared that would give me 16 as well. And that number is a negative 4. And the reason a negative 4 squared is 16 is because a negative times a negative is a positive. So when we're solving these, we can't just say x equals the square root of 16. We have to say x equals plus or minus, meaning the positive number or the negative number. So you could write your answer like this. This is the shortest way to write it. X equals plus or minus 4. Or you can write it as x equals a positive 4, x equals a negative 4. Okay, so you can write it as a single unit, or you could write it as two separate x equals. But that's what you have to do when you're solving radical equations. Whenever you take the square root, you're going to have to do the plus minus. Okay, let's jump to this next example here. We have y squared equals 20. So in order to solve it, I'm going to say y equals plus or minus the square root of 20. And now, looking at the number 20, I know it's not a perfect square. So I'm going to simplify it like we've been doing the last couple of days, where I say 20 can split into the square root of 4 times the square root of 5. So I'm going to say y equals plus or minus square root of 4 is 2 times the square root of 5. And that would be my answer. Or you could write y equals 2 square root of 5, or y equals negative 2 square root of 5. Both of those answers are acceptable. It's purely personal choice, okay? So feel free to do whichever one you feel most comfortable with. All right, now I want you to solve this radical equation on your own. Good luck. Okay, for this problem, hopefully you said w equals plus or minus 6 square root of 2. If you have questions about that or anything I've covered so far in this video, please be sure to reach out for some help. I'm happy to help you. Let's move on to our last example for today. Now, let's practice solving radical equations where we are actually going to divide out and get to a decimal, okay? This is going to happen more often with our word problems. So we have a finance situation. Sarah uses an online calculator to determine how much interest she would accrue in a savings account after 2 years. She plans to invest $750, and the calculator determines that she would have $780 after 2 years. She can find the interest rate R of the savings account by using the formula R equals the square root of A divided by P minus 1, where A is the amount after 2 years and P is the initial investment. What is the interest rate? So the way that we're going to solve this one is we are going to say R equals the square root of, we're told A is the amount she has after 2 years. So that was 780 divided by P, which is the amount she originally invested, which was $750. and then we are going to subtract 1 from that number. So if I type in the square root of 780 divided by 750, I get 1.0198. I'll stop there. So I'm going to do 1.018 minus 1, which is just 0.0198. And if I wanted to convert that to an interest rate, remember decimals, you have to move it 2 places in order for it to become a percent. So I would move it 1, 2. So I'd have 1.98%, or I could say about 2% would be the interest rate. Okay, so for this one, all I did was plug the numbers in, take the square root of it down to the decimal rather than leaving it exact with still a square root, and then I subtracted 1. From there, I converted into a percent. Okay, so you're going to practice doing a word problem as well. I'm going to give you a warning that this question has some extra information with some numbers that you won't need to use, okay? So make sure you read carefully. Good luck. All right, for this problem, hopefully you said q equals the square root of, and then you multiplied 25 times 1,125, took that number, divided by 2, and you should have gotten 118.5, which if you round to the nearest unit, that would be 119 units. Okay, so if you have questions about that problem or anything from this video, please be sure to reach out for some help. I'm happy to help you. I hope you have a great day.